Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Hollywood After Dark, the newly reformed podcast edition. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Borderlands, the movie. Last week, tonight, getting a little bit of the Zazzy treatment. Stephen King's thoughts on the new Salem's Lot adaptation. And of course, Madam Web drama and what's going on with the Jurassic World movie? What's going on with the reboot? Oh yeah, a new director, and it's an awesome one. Hollywood After Dark. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. Today is February 20th, 2024. There's a lot to talk about tonight. So let me quickly dive into where things are going, and why I'm coming to you like this. Not normally live, as I usually would be, but why it's more of a truncated show. I've decided that I want to continuously talk about movies because I do love talking about movies, but I want to be able to not invest as much time into the live streaming part of it. I want to be able to have a shorter, condensed show that people can dive in, get the information, and be entertained, and get out. And of course, the live streaming is still gonna happen over on my alternate channel, or really my old main channel, the Matt Jarbo channel here on YouTube, where we do Boulder Talk Radio, where we've got shows where we talk about the Gina Carano protest that was happening at Fan Expo. You know, the one that largely didn't happen, but still things along that. Never mind politics, current events, non-movie related stuff. And as always, my very immature sense of humor and how often I talk about, you know, adult entertainment and things like that. Never mind artificial intelligence, which I'm also a huge fan of. But over on this channel, what's going to happen is we are going to get the Hollywood After Dark shows as well as reviews. If you guys asked for it, a lot actually over the course of the past couple of weeks, but I did finally talk about Has Been Hotel. I think it's an amazing show. I really enjoyed the first season. Wanted to talk a little bit about it. Podio commentary is coming back, more episodes popping up. And of course, I do want to make sure that we are putting out content on this channel that is more focused and it's more aimed at the general movie going public. Not to say that there's not going to be a lot of fun stuff along the way, but again, I feel like I've kind of lost sight. Like the Hollywood After Dark live streams were kind of more of like a hangout than really talking about the movie news. Yeah, sure, we talk about movie news, but it was never like how I really wanted it to be. You know what I mean? It was never really how I wanted it to be. It was always a kind of this long thing. And so if you are a channel member on this show, I am going to be opening up the channel memberships for questions for those who want to be asked. We'll answer those at the end of each podcast. And I will probably get the voicemail line back up and running for this specific show. If you guys seem to like it and want to call in or leave vocaroos with your voice questions that we can get to. I do want it to be audience interactive. Even though we are not going to be live, I still want you guys to feel heavily involved. And that's one of the reasons why I still want to talk about movies, and I still want to keep this channel going and not shun the community that we've built over the past couple of years. I love you guys. You guys know that. I really appreciate all of you. One of the reasons why I kind of wanted to shift away is like, I was just kind of burnt out on it. I was just kind of like so tired with it. Just in general, that the whole industry all in 2023. And I've been talking more about it on Twitter and having more fun talking about it on Twitter. And there's a lot of good conversations to be had. And there's a lot of news to talk about. And as always, I want to share my opinions and get your guys as well in the comments. So be sure to like if you are new, subscribe if you are new, become a channel member if you want to be able to ask questions that get answered on the episode. And, you know, it's going to be all good. Then be sure to check out the Matt Jarbo channel for Boulder Talk Radio, which will be happening kind of most of the time, as well as the Podio commentary, which if you want to support it, you can. It's pretty easy. You just pay me money. I watch the movie. I talk about it. It's that simple. Has Been Hotel was a show. I know that, but it's something that I just wanted to talk about. So let's dive in to today's news and get you guys up on what's going on. So right now we have got ourselves a bit of a sneak peek, if you will. We have a little bit of a sneak peek. We're going to be looking at here the Borderlands trailer. This is, I'm sorry, the poster showing us here. You've got Kate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Ariana Greenblatt. By the way, Ariana Greenblatt is just kind of blowing up right now. Barbie, Ahsoka, Boss Baby 2. She was the daughter, the eldest daughter of the main kid of Timmy from the show, from the movie. She even voices the daughter in the Netflix spinoff show for Boss Baby. Yeah, again, I'm always going to bring up the Boss Baby. You've got Florian Munteanu, who I do not know who that is, probably who's in the Borderlands mask right there. And then, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis. And I've seen some people get upset about this. I've seen some people get kind of upset, a little bit ticked off, if you will. Like, why is it that a near 70-year-old woman is going to be in? Why is Cate Blanchett playing Lilith? Shouldn't Lilith be much hotter? Look, it's not. Let's be fair. It's Moxie. Okay, whoever Mad Moxie is, I believe that's the character's name. It's been quite a long time. I'm not the biggest Gearbox fan, I should say. I don't want to give this movie any money because I don't want Randy Pitchford to make any money. And if you know anything about Randy Pitchford, you know why I feel that way. You know why I feel that way. But that being said, this is going to have Jack Black as Claptrap. So I have to give it my money. I have to give it my time. I have to give it my attention. Damn it. But either way, that is what's going on with that one. We'll get the full trailer tomorrow, and I'll be able to give you guys my thoughts and my opinions on it once, of course, it drops. And I'm able to dive in. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at mjarbo if you want to see more up-to-date thoughts. But otherwise, Hollywood After Dark is where you're going to get them. So let's move on to the next thing here, because it is very much an interesting story that is now happening. So last week tonight has announced that it is going to have a shift in its distribution strategy. You know, because reasons and whatnot, right? So last week tonight with John Oliver has decided that it wants to delay the release of its show on YouTube from Monday to Thursday. Now, if you don't know about the show, when they air it on Sunday night on HBO, it almost immediately goes live on YouTube. Not necessarily the whole show, but just the main story, giving you all like the 20 to 25 minute bits of whatever they've spent that time researching that week. It's usually something I watch on Sunday nights or Monday mornings, but now they want to delay that over to Thursday. But why? Why would they do that? Why would they do such a thing? Well, John Oliver did share this update on Twitter, expressing that HBO, it was hopes, I should say, that HBO might in fact reconsider this decision. This move aims to actually, like, stupidly enough, encourage viewers to watch the show on HBO Max. Sorry, Max. All right. Now we know that Max isn't necessarily having the biggest and best time right now. We know that it's kind of like not something you find yourself going, you know what, I want to Max and chill, because it's a terrible name and we all know that it's a terrible name. But of course, also Max reflects a change from the previous approach that leveraged this show through YouTube for a lot of promotional exposure. There's no way to look at Last Week Tonight and not go, yeah, this show absolutely slaps on YouTube. This is something that everyone knows to watch on YouTube, even if they don't have HBO, because it allowed them to really get the word out there. We're talking like 1 to 2 million views, if not more than that, as time goes on. I think I've seen a couple of those clips upwards of 6 or 7 million views. And I'm telling you, I don't think they get that many views on HBO themselves. All right. But the thing is, though, it is interesting to kind of point out that when they released the show, it did kind of highlight the convenience of the show being on YouTube, because Max or HBO Max wasn't available at the time. Now, the network is hopeful, right? They're always hopeful. They always want to have a little bit of hope. They always want to make sure that they're just out there doing their thing. They're hoping that this new strategy will actually drive fans to watch the full thing on Max. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you really think that you're going to sit there and fire up your HBO Max or your Max, right? And you're just going to be like, yay, I'm going to watch this on there. You probably don't even have it. Maybe when there's a new show that's coming out, maybe there's a new Game of Thrones, maybe there's a new The Last of Us, maybe there's a new, I don't know, one of their prestige shows, which, don't get me wrong, Last Week Tonight is in fact a prestige show. But it is one thing to consider here that this particular show is one that aims for, quite frankly, the Gen Z millennial audience. I don't know if I'd say Gen Alpha necessarily, definitely not so much boomers, although, I mean, it is kind of all-encompassing, but I would argue that John Oliver's probably more aimed for, like, around my age. But the show has been a staple of YouTube for the course, like, the past 10 years now that it's been on? And then pulling it off, to me, seems like it's a desperate move to get people to go over to Max, and I don't think it's going to happen. John Oliver hopes that it doesn't happen. He hopes that they'll reconsider. But this new episode basically focuses on him offering to pay Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas $1 million a year until he dies out of John Oliver's personal salary in hopes he'll retire and stop perverting the court. But again, we're not here to talk about those kind of politics. We are here to talk about movies and entertainment, but it is definitely a show worth diving into and checking out. And obviously, I think it's one, if you guys like it, you might want to watch it on HBO or other means. I'm sure it's on YouTube. You could probably find it. Lord knows that's where I found it before when I didn't have HBO. Not even making that up. Here's what would happen. Sunday nights, Game of Thrones would come on. Okay. And then not long after that, somebody would usually fire up a live stream of Last Week Tonight and broadcast it to YouTube. And you could watch it live. It would be taken down like right afterward, but you could watch it live and then move on with your day. You know, can't do that no mo, but you know, there's other ways. If you know what you're doing, folks, if you know what you're doing, there are ways to do that. But here's someone who I have to kind of laugh, knows what they're doing, but this does not put anything in the brightest light. So Madam Web, all right, despite the bad reviews, some people did enjoy the movie. They laughed at the campiness of it. They got a kick out of it somewhere. Some people were like, Madam Web is amazing. But I'll tell you who didn't care for it. And that's Dakota Johnson. And the reason why Dakota Johnson is not one of the people who enjoyed Madam Web is because she never saw it. Speaking with the Magic Radio during her press tour prior to the debut of the film, she confessed that she hadn't actually seen the movie and, quite frankly, was in no hurry to do so. Not at all. She didn't want to see it anytime soon. Her quote here was, "I haven't actually seen the movie. I normally go have dinner, but of course this has nothing to do with Madam Web in particular. Since the movie kind of sucks from what I've been told, I plan on watching it when it hits digital. I don't really feel the need to go and do it." But she doesn't know when she'll see it. She'll see it probably someday. But this is actually not out of the realm of normalcy for her. And that is one thing we have to remember here. That's one thing we have to consider here. When we're talking about Madam Web, when we're talking about Dakota Johnson in particular, she doesn't do this with a lot of her movies. She doesn't go and watch a lot of her movies when they first come out. She might go see them down the road. She might watch them at home. She's openly admitted that there are some that she simply just doesn't like. So she may be wanting to avoid them, but she says, for me, it's a way to not have an existential crisis. For me, not watching my movies is self-care. And I can say the same thing about the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. Me not watching those movies is absolutely a form of self-care. But look, there is something to be said here about promotion of a movie. There's something to be said here about the duty of an actor or a producer or a writer or the director or the studio when it comes to these kind of movies, right? And not just these movies. I mean, like literally any movie. What I mean by that is the fact that when you have got an actor promoting a movie, their job is to hype the film up. Their job is to do that work to get audiences to go, I want to see this movie. Her coming out and saying, I haven't seen it yet. I have no idea. All that green screen work was terrible. And then, of course, her firing her agent or management or agent, whatever it was, like right after, the day after the trailer came out, and the abysmal take home on the opening weekend of this movie. I don't want to talk shit about the film. Again, I haven't seen it, but what I'm trying to say here is that it's like, you have a duty to finish the job you started, even if you don't like the movie. This kind of, I don't watch it myself sort of mentality, it doesn't work for me on a personal level because I feel it's like half-assed and lazy. And I think Dakota Johnson ultimately is better than that, to be fair. But at the same time, her reaction to the film is largely everybody else's reaction to the movie. So she is in some way saving you your $10, but it also kind of means that her franchise is over. I talked about this last night on Boulder Talk Radio, actually, where it's Sony more or less is trying to now pass the blame over to women who didn't go see the movie, right? They're like, why didn't you support the sisterhood? Why didn't you get out there and support your own kind? Don't you want these movies? Don't you want to see them? Don't you want movies with representation, with female leads, with minority casting? Don't you want these movies? Don't you want the chuds to lose? All those things that they, clearly want you to do or want women to do, and women didn't show up. And that's because the vast majority of people who go and see these movies are men. And this movie wasn't marketed to men. I know that's a bold take, but still, out of the people who went, only 46% were women. That's 54% male. Had you thrown in a little bit of Sydney Sweeney cleavage in that deal, you might have actually had a bit of a better time. And some people might get mad at me for saying that. But have you seen the anyone but you marketing? Sex sells, motherfuckers. All right. Like, Jesus, even in a movie like this, it's like Madam Web. You want dudes to fire their web thinking of this movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of the point. You want to get them excited to come and spread their sticky icky all over this movie. By the way, quick thing. Why is her name Madam Web, W-E-B, but her character name is Cassie Webb with 2 B's? It's a weird thing, but I do expect this movie to be on Tubi quite soon. I'm such a fucking stinker here, aren't I, guys? I'm such a huge stinker. So let's talk about Sony and Disney do DVD, right? Now, I'm a fan of physical media. A lot of us are fans of physical media. We've been wondering, we've been asking ourselves, is physical media dead? Is the medium coming to an end? Are we going to have to go out to thrift stores and Goodwills and Salvation Armies and garage sales and online sellers on the internet as a way to try to get this thing? Well, in many ways, no, thankfully no. So what we know is that Sony Pictures Home Entertainment has struck a significant deal to take over Disney's physical media production, managing the authoring, compression, replication, and distribution of Disney's discs. Now, this is big. The reason why is because a lot of people for the last 5 years now have been asking, hey, Disney, when are you going to put the shows on the DVD? I don't know why I did Yogi Bear there, but it just felt appropriate in the moment. And they did finally. WandaVision, Loki, Mando Season 1, Mando Season 2, those came out. But you've also got Marvel What If, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, WandaVision came out, Captain America, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like Hawkeye, Echo, Secret Invasion, The Mighty Ducks, The Game Changers, Willow Season 1, National Treasure Season 1, that weird Moon movie with McKenna Grace that they pulled off the service. People want to see these things, right? They want to see them, and they want them to be something that really gets, like that they can hold. But this move comes as Disney does seek more efficiency and cost effectiveness amidst internal turmoil and a focus shift towards streaming with Disney Plus. Now, this deal aims to streamline Disney's physical media operations, which have been hampered by, according to this report, excessive bureaucracy and cost cutting, potentially leading to job losses. But also, they kind of hope for a more vibrant disc release schedule for Disney's extensive film library. Now, this is probably going to also be Fox movies, movies that came out on Hulu. They recently released Prey, but not Hellraiser, or any of the other films that they've put on Hulu, which is now kind of like holding the water for most of Disney. I feel like they've kind of let all that go theatrically, and they're putting it all on Hulu, at least the 20th Century Fox stuff, which is largely pretty good. Sorry, 20th Century Studios. I don't want to be wrong there. But with this decision comes the plan to close down the Disney Movie Club. And this has sparked like a lot of criticism for missing an opportunity to engage directly with the physical media consumers. Now, you got to remember here, physical media consumers are the ones that will buy this stuff day one. They buy the collector's edition. They spend the hundreds of dollars to import content from overseas because they get the better steelbooks for some reason. And 4Ks don't have a region barrier. So it's actually better just in general. But if you don't know what the Disney Movie Club is, it's actually a subscription service that allows members to purchase Disney movies directly, often for discounted prices and with exclusive offers. If you have been like a Disney fan, or you're just kind of a Disney adult or a Disney enthusiast, this has allowed them to kind of like build out their library, including new releases as well as access to like classic titles. You know, and so when Disney pulls things out of the vault and they have like a certain number of movies that they release within a certain period in time, that's kind of what this whole thing is, you know. And so a lot of people out there really, really, really like it. And now it's going to be gone because they're working now with Sony. So, I mean, there's kind of good, there's kind of bad, but as a person who doesn't have Disney Movie Club, I'm more than happy to not to see it go over to Sony so that we know they can actually pull off some stuff there. Speaking of pulling off some stuff, let's talk about Salem's Lot getting pulled off of any kind of release schedule and maybe locked away in the Warner vault for whatever reason. And the one person who's actively having issue with this, taking beef with this, is Stephen King himself, who is now expressing frustration over Warner Brothers' indecision on releasing this new adaptation of the novel Salem's Lot, despite the movie already being done. Now, the film did face multiple delays and an uncertain release like schedule and plan from the get-go. But King has seen the movie and he praises it for its classic horror style, and he's kind of like really perplexed by the delays. One of the reasons why, in my opinion, is because if you look at like The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which came out last summer, that was a hit it and quit it movie in theaters. It did not do well. The movie I hear is really good. I haven't seen it yet. Came, it went. It's a story about Dracula. It's kind of not a prequel. It's kind of a prequel to the story of Dracula, you know, and it just didn't land. But Stephen King adaptations, especially, they do okay. So having one that's kind of Dracula, it's Nosferatu-esque, it's all that stuff, would probably have a better chance at faring well in theaters, or at least faring well on Max, or licensing it out to Netflix, which has a strong history of working with Mike Flanagan on Stephen King adaptations and things, and it being popular over there. I don't get it. And there's also some pedigree. This adaptation is directed by Gary Dauberman, who wrote the It movies and like a whole bunch of other, I think, James Wan Blumhouse films or whatever. And it actually features a strong cast, and is like a first like cinematic take on the novel, because there's been a bunch of previous TV adaptations. Fans, however, are really kind of wondering more, I should say, like kind of left in suspense really about its release. And it does kind of reflect Warner Brothers' recent pattern of shelving projects. We know they've done this with Coyote v. Acme, or Acme versus Coyote, whatever it is, with Batgirl, with Scoob 2, The Holiday Haunt. I mean, like, they've done this for tax purposes. The thing is, though, this movie is not new, right? The adaptation of Salem's Lot actually entered into pre-production back in August of 2021, began filming in September 2021, and then was completed by November 2022. They've been sitting on the film for over a year now. It's done. It's ready to go. They can release it. Maybe we'll get lucky. They'll release it this Halloween season. But I'm wondering if The Last Voyage of the Demeter and things along those lines might have potentially hurt it. I don't quite know. But let's dive in to the last story of the day. And this is the big one of the day. This is the big announcement, folks. Jurassic World is coming back, and this time it's got a brand new director. Gareth Edwards, actually. So Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment are in the final stages of negotiations with Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One and the excellent Creator that just came out back in September and is a badass, amazing film. You gotta love that movie. I love The Creator. And I think this guy's a fantastic director. And so, look, as much as David Leitch was announced to be the director of this a couple weeks ago. In fact, I think it was the last Hollywood After Dark episode that I did or something. that talked about that. He was going to do it. He was going to be the one. He was going to be the guy. And David Leitch is a solid director, right? He's a solid action director. You know, you can look at his work and know what you're going to get. But he's not the most in-deep version, right? He doesn't have the most depth of a storyteller. He's great, but Gareth Edwards can make you think, and Gareth Edwards can make you feel, and Gareth Edwards can direct. I mean, look at what he did with Godzilla 2014. I love that damn movie, right? Rogue One. Even though Tony Gilroy definitely saved Rogue One, I want to see the Gareth Edwards cut, if I'm being honest with you. Anyway, this decision, you know, again, like I said, comes after talks with David Leitch had fallen through. But the thing is, though, is that the film, like Godzilla, impressed producers Steven Spielberg and Frank Marshall during the meetings with Gareth. And this led to an offer. Now, what's funny about that, too, is Frank Marshall is married to Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy produced some of the other Jurassic Park movies through Amblin, because she co-created it with Spielberg and with her husband, Frank Marshall. She's not working on this because she currently runs Lucasfilm, but he worked for Lucasfilm. And I'm pretty certain that had a little bit of point of contact on that. I just feel there's a little bit of a thing there. But what this movie is going to do, obviously, is it's going to aim to present a fresh perspective on the Jurassic era, diverging from the return of cast members as seen in both Jurassic World series and the original trilogy. Makes sense, kind of sad. But with Dominion, I haven't seen Dominion because everyone's talked crap about it, but I will do it for Podio commentary. I'll go through all those movies. We'll dive in, have a ball. Great time had by many, maybe not so much by the last Jurassic World stuff, or people who don't like Jurassic Park 3, which I actually do, by the way. But this movie is being written by David Koepp, who I've kind of been a little bit against because he wrote the first Jurassic Park. He also wrote Hook. He also wrote Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But this movie will also not see the return of Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, as well as, like I said, nobody else. So we don't know. It's just a fresh take, right? It's just a fresh take. Spielberg is going to produce it. Frank Marshall, they're all involved. Everyone's involved. What does it mean? I don't know. Look, Gareth Edwards is a writer and director. So David Koepp might write the script. David Koepp might write the outline, might write the bare bones of it. But if you don't think that Gareth Edwards is going to be involved, making you actually give a crap about the story and the characters and the setting, very much grounding it in a sense of reality. Movies like Godzilla, albeit crazy, was shot from the human perspective. They very much are able to make it something that you could, in fact, look at from the ground level up. It's very human. Rogue One, very human. The collector, or the creator, very human. He can tell those stories. And I think telling a story about dinosaurs running amok, but from the human perspective, could be quite interesting and pretty cool. My only downside to it, though, is like, look, Michael Crichton's been dead for a long time. Michael Crichton's imagination is what brought this series to life. Without Michael Crichton being involved in any capacity, it does kind of feel like a cash grab. But then again, I'm also very excited for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So I'm an easy mark for all of this nostalgia bait garbage, all right? So I can admit it, you guys. I can totally admit it. But anyway, that's basically it for today. That's what I got. These are short shows. These are going to be about a half hour or less talking about what's going on of the day. Of course, as we get into having the voicemails and user questions and things like that, it might go a little bit longer. But anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a comment. There are going to be timestamps. I'm going to try to keep up with that one. I appreciate everyone's support. I'll talk more about this tonight on Boulder Talk Radio if you guys want to go and check that out. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again for watching, and peace out.